By the way, when you're waving your hand,
Yeah?
that's like the bus is ready to leave.
Yeah.
The driver has not got behind the wheel yet.
Oh, gotcha.
That's where it was going. All right, go for it.
TJ Johnston has been working to empower people to take charge of their lives for years. We're going to talk to him about who to vote for judge next.
But if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearm lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
Okay, so TJ Johnston is the owner and operator of AllSafe Defensive Systems up in Orange County. And he's been an enormous Second Amendment leader in Southern California and all of California, really, for decades. I mean, he served on. Well, we're going to talk to him more about how. But if anyone knows who to vote for judge, it's TJ. This guy's been around for forever, and he's been working on your Second Amendment rights, defending them, expanding them, preserving them out of Orange County for the longest time. And it truly is an honor to have him on the show. TJ, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I appreciate the endorsement.
Yeah, thank you for being on. I got to tell you, talk a little bit about your background, because it is enormously impressive.
Well, I'm just long-lived. That's all. I'm just old.
Right on.
I was concerned when California passed the Robert E. Assault Weapons Control Act in 1989. So I formed a local chapter called the Gun Owners Action Committee. We lobbied to make sure that the legislators in Orange County would no longer vote against the Second Amendment. And I was concerned that the NRA wasn't there. So I ran for the board in 91, lost, ran again in 92, lost, ran again in 93, and finally won a seat on the board of directors to try to get the NRA more active in the grassroots arena. And at the same time, I was an NRA instructor, and I tried to modify the education training programs of the NRA to make them a little more practical, especially for home defense. So on the board, I worked hard to get what we called NRA chapters, which became the NRA member councils under the direction of Ed Worley and Paul Payne. So we formed local chapters around the state, and it was reasonably successful, but eventually it lost steam. And I'm appreciating what Michael Swartz is doing with the county gun owners in every county. He's doing a great job of getting gun owners together and trying to get people active, because that's what it's going to take to win back our Second Amendment rights. I
appreciate you saying that. It's definitely part of what it's going to take, and I appreciate everything that you've done, TJ. There was a time, basically, that if you wanted to do anything, be any kind of instructor for firearms across the board, if you asked around, and said, hey, I want to become a whatever, refuse to be a victim or pistol or whatever, what do I do? Everybody, you got to go TJ. TJ's the guy. Got to go see TJ. I mean, you were really, truly running the state for a while. How did you get to that position? I know you worked hard to help other people or enable other people to be instructors of instructors as well, right?
Yeah, well, in '86, I became an instructor because I wanted to teach professionally and take money from people. So I became an NRA certified instructor in personal protection and found out the program was sadly lacking. I thought it was not really conversant to teaching people how to fight with a gun, which is what self-defense is all about.
And when you say that, what was it? Was it more of a kind of like a hunting emphasis, or what was?
No. Well, I think you'll agree that our lives are run by risk management lawyers. In fact, that's what the NRA program was. It was so sanitized that you couldn't even shoot an IPSC target that had a head on it because they wouldn't allow headshots.
Interesting.
It was just
really
silly. Well,
back then
it was tried. Yes, it was tried to be as humanely civilized as possible. So
wow.
I went on the board. I worked with a gentleman by the name of Jeff Cooper, who ran gun sight, front sight. His modern pistol technique is known worldwide. And I got him to work with a police officer by the name of Leroy Pyle. So we rewrote the personal protection courses. And the NRA came out with these in the year 2000 for personal protection inside the home, which is self-defense with a handgun, and personal protection outside the home, which is the most comprehensive concealed carry class in the United States. So I'm very proud of those two courses because they are real. They teach people how to use a handgun effectively. The next thing I'm working on is get the NRA to produce a defensive shotgun course.
Oh, wow.
Right now, their shotgun course is clay target shooting, which I don't know. I've never been attacked by a little orange orb. So I'm trying to get a defensive shotgun course out there. I run a defensive shotgun with AllSafe, but it's not NRA approved.
So what you did for the NRA is now used all over the country.
Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Understand that Jeff Cooper, Leroy Pond, I wrote the lesson plan. Then the NRA took it back and sanitized it. Instead of Jeff Cooper's color codes of white, yellow, orange, and red, they named it unaware, alert, and alarm. So they sanitized it somewhat, but the core course is still. You can see Jeff Cooper through it.
And Colonel Cooper he was originally from California, right? Is that how did you guys know each other?
Yes. Yeah. Well, he ran a program called Leather Slap up at Big Bear. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember Gunsmoke, Maverick, Ponderosa, all those kind of shows. And those cowboy actors would come up and shoot with Jeff, shooting one-handed. And this deputy from Los Angeles County by the name of Jack Weaver came up and kicked all their butts. And Jeff said, "There's something to this." And he developed the Weaver technique of shooting with two hands on the gun. Wow. And then he popularized that so that became the standard for most of law enforcement and for military. So I thought Jeff was an instrumental part of developing a course for the NRA. So I, again, lobbied the board president to put Jeff on the education training committee with me so we could work on the course.
So wait. So before you go any further, so what year was that, by the way, with that Weaver and Jeff were, changed things so people were doing a two-hand?
In the 70s.
That was in the 70s. So before... And even into the 80s, it was really, really popular, it's unthinkable now, but it was really, really popular. The standard was to hold a gun with one hand.
Right. And if you look at all the law enforcement and military videos for the 1911 is shooting one-handed.
Isn't that amazing? I think the majority of people, if you go to any range these days, I think the majority of people in the range were probably born, after the 70s.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And so I don't think people really remember. I don't think people really realize. It feels like this is how it's always been, but the art of shooting, we're talking. You're one of the guys that helped develop it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so recent. The people that actually put all this stuff together, are still around. I mean, it was just a few decades ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Well, no, hang on. Let me say that Jeff Cooper developed it. And popularized it. I just brought it to the NRA.
Understood. Sure. I don't want to. Yeah, but credit where credit's due. You had a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, it's amazing though to think about that. Just within my lifetime, they were within our lifetime. They were the standard. Shooting stance was one-handed. Which now let
me make a note. Now let me make a note that the Weaver position is becoming less popular because everybody's going to the isosceles position because it's a little easier. It takes less training. It's a more natural position, and you find most of your competitive shooters shoot isosceles now.
I've noticed that as well. Is there it's other than accuracy or comfort? Is there a strategic advantage to either Weaver or isosceles? Like, what do you normally teach for defensive shooting?
Well, again, I train with Cooper, so I'm a Cooperite. I really advocate for the Weaver stance. But again, body armor doesn't protect the side, so the front plate is for isosceles. So I understand. I just find the Weaver stance to give me more support, especially I shoot a 1911. So I shoot a 45, which has a little more recoil than your 9mm, which I call a 45 on stun. So it has a little more support in the Weaver stance for recoil control.
Another thing I don't think people understand, something I've said often, is California has a very rich Second Amendment history. And if I have anything to say about it, they're going to have a very rich Second Amendment future. But the history of, Jeff, I don't think a lot of people know, Jeff Cooper was from California. You helped change the NRA's curriculum. You're from California. All these different companies are from California, headquartered in California. Some of them have moved because California became California. What do you think? What do we do? What do we do from here? What do we do in the future? What have you learned in the last however many decades you've been fighting the fight? Where do we go from here?
The most important thing I think we can do is to reach out. There's so many brand new gun owners out there who really have no idea what they're doing. Now, we've got to get them trained. We've got to get them safe. And secondly, people who are carrying concealed weapons. I'm so pleased that Don Barnes, our sheriff in Orange County, has issued, I think, a little over 20,000 concealed weapons permits.
Isn't that great?
My concern is a lot of these people aren't ready to fight with a gun.
Interesting.
They've had a minimal experience of knowing how the gun operates, but they have no idea how to draw from concealment, how to shoot from cover, how to move and shoot, how to shoot from attention, how to shoot in low light. And those are the things we offer in this CCW class with the outside the home course.
So what's your advice? What are they?
Again, we have to reach out to the community. That's why I just finished just today, just an hour ago, finished the NRA Basic Pistol Instructor course. I have 7 new instructors out there who are going to go teach people in their community how to properly own and use firearms. And that's the key. We've got to take our experienced shooters and have them share their experience with people who are not, and make it a friendly, enjoyable course so people can have fun with guns and realize they're not dangerous implements of death, but they can be recreational, they can be skill development as well as a defensive tool.
And I think that'll be a cultural change.
Oh yeah,
which I think is important.
Show people that guns are not negative.
Well, and I
change the image that the media is portrayed.
Yeah.
It really strikes me that the government doesn't want you to own a gun, but if they're going to let you have a gun, they don't push taking a safety course. Why don't they make a safety course like what you're talking about?
Now let me jump up and down and say, like Texas has shell issue. Nobody has to get any training at all to carry a concealed weapon. But there's a school in Orange County called Artemis that I highly recommend.
Yeah.
They have a slogan: "You have the right to carry, but you have the responsibility to train."
Exactly.
Anybody who wants to manage a gun, whether it be at home or carry it on their person, has the absolute responsibility to make sure it's used properly, and that takes training.
Artemis is great. Do you use Artemis much? It's a big. For those who don't know, Artemis has this huge simulator, a really, really modern simulator. It's like Star Trek. Have you used that a lot, TJ?
Oh, not a lot. Again, I send my people to Artemis. My CCW class, everything's a shoot target. At Artemis, they can change up shoot with no shoot on the fly.
Yeah.
And you have to make that decision. In my class, I'm sorry, there's no decisions. You see a target, your job is to get hits on it. So I really advocate that people finish my course and then quickly go to Artemis to learn how to make decisions while under penalty of death.
Nice.
I like that.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, that's a lot of context. I'm really glad we had to have that conversation. TJ, you are a wealth of knowledge and history, and I think we need to have you on more just to talk more about the everything that's going on. What we're going to do is we're going to go to a break. We have a lot of context now. We understand who you are. And I'm really, really glad we got to introduce you to our listeners. And now we want you to talk about who to vote for judge, right? That's what you're prepared to talk about?
I have an excellent list of people, but I'm afraid it's for Orange County.
That's okay. We're in Orange County too.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool. So hang on the line.
All right, TJ.
We're going to go to a commercial.
Well, when you're looking for jewelry or fine watches, you need to go to San Diego's top jewelry shop, Leo Hamels. Conveniently located in the heart of San Diego, you can visit Leo's showroom at 1851 San Diego Avenue to see all their hand-picked line of new jewelry and watches. And when you buy from Leo Hamel, not only do you get the best deal, you are also supporting the Second Amendment. Support the companies that support the 2A. Call 619-299-1500, or you can just visit their showroom on San Diego Avenue, and always get awesome service at Leo's. Call 619-299-1500, or you can stop by their showroom at 1851 San Diego Avenue, just off the 5 freeway.
All right, we're talking to TJ Johnston from AllSafe Defensive Systems up in Orange County. We just had a fantastic conversation about the Second Amendment and just barely scratched the surface on all the efforts he has made over the years that we're all very thankful for. And now what we want to talk about, TJ, is now how you're going to give some recommendations on who to vote for judge. And San Diego County and Orange County and Inland Empire, San Diego County gun owners, I should say, Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners, we do not endorse judges for a variety of reasons. So I'm very curious. I'm very thankful that you have recommendations for folks up in Orange County. How did you come to the conclusion? What are you basing all this on?
First of all, let me say it's always been a mystery to me. I just excluded voting for judges because I never knew. But once again, back to what I do, I train instructors for the NRA, and I have a team of instructors that help me teach in my classes. Mm-hmm. And one of those team members is a deputy DA who works in the Orange County Courthouse on felony prosecutions. So this person knows the judges. And so I asked them for a recommendation for what they considered good judges who would not prosecute or would not judge against somebody who, for example, concealed carry printed and somebody called a man with a gun, the guy got arrested.
Right.
That'd be thrown out of court.
Right.
But again, they would be aggressive about somebody who carjacks, even the gun was discharged, they would obviously, if the deputy DA asked for enhancements, the judge would follow through on that, unlike what's going on in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
So we got a good DA in Todd Spitzer, and these judges would support stringent restrictions on people who misuse their firearms and be lenient for people who make a mistake.
Right. Misuse like criminals. hard on criminals.
That's right.
Okay, so how do you want to do this? Do you want to just go through the list? Do you want to talk about each individually, or what's the best way to talk about this?
I don't know them personally, so what I do is tell you the office district number and their name.
All right, go for it. Start, and then we'll
write it down.
Okay, and is it posted anywhere too? Like, what if people want to see this later?
That's an interesting question. I'm wondering if I should put it on my website.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know at this point. I can check and see if I can get that on my website.
Okay, all right.
Because that would be a good idea.
And
so the list.
Go ahead.
Starts office number 5, Claudia Alvarez. Office number 9, Christopher Duff. Office number 11, Sean Nelson. He's been around for quite a while. Office number 21, Aaron Rowe, R-O-W-E. Office 22, Brahim Bayteh. That's B-A-Y-T-I-E-H. Office number 20, Eric Scarborough. Office 30, Michelle Bell. Office number 33, Steve McGreevy. And Office 45, Israel Klostro. Those are people that I can stand behind and say, with the Deputy DA's endorsement, these will be good people to vote for on a ballot.
Good. Okay, excellent. And if people, you don't have it up yet, but people should check out your website at
AllSafeDefense.com.
AllSafeDefense.com. And you have a newsletter, right?
Yes, I do. If they want my newsletter, at the very bottom of my webpage, it says, check here to get my newsletter.
So especially if you...
They have to check in and say they want it.
Good. Okay. And these are all, especially if you're in Orange County, and all these judges are running in Orange County, or is there some overlap?
That's correct.
Okay.
This is Orange County, yes.
So go to allsafedefense.com, sign up for his newsletter, maybe check it in a few days, see if he's got it posted online.
I'll work on it. Tomorrow, I'll see if I can get it up. I'll put a link on my homepage so people click on it and see this list.
It is really difficult to, one of the reasons we don't endorse judges, it's just really difficult. There's some ethical barriers, I guess. It's really difficult for a judge to say, or a candidate who's running for a judge to say, for example, how they would rule on certain things. So if you ask a judge, like, hey, how would you rule on XYZ case, whatever, they can't tell you, and so it's really, really difficult to come to a conclusion. So this type of hands-on experience and vetting that you have is invaluable.
Yeah, I agree. And it's always been a mystery to me, but I've got this resource. And let me say, if anybody knows of a deputy DA in the local San Diego office, they should talk to that person and get endorsements, because those deputy DAs work every day with judges and know which are Santa Claus judges and which are the good ones.
It's a good idea. I have a couple of, there's some people I know, so I think it's a good idea. I didn't really thought of that. I'll have to reach out and see what we can find for Sandy. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. I can't do it under San Diego County gun owners, but we'll have to figure something out. So what?
Well, again, you send it to me, I'll publicize it.
There you go. That's a good idea. Okay. How much is kind of switching, or going back to something you said before you talked about the endorsements? How much do you see people getting in trouble for printing?
Very few. Again, well, let me say, in my class, we emphasize that it's not a violation of law, but you will get undue attention if you do show that you're carrying. It's an agreement with the sheriff department. The firearm will stay concealed, and that means you dress around your gun. You find clothing that conceal the gun, whether you carry appendix or strong side, whatever you carry. You make sure that you have a garment that covers it. And, of course, in summer months, you got to find smaller guns.
Yeah. Or sweat, one of the two. If you, so what do you mean it's not a violation? Is printing's not a violation of the law?
No.
Talk about that more.
Not. Okay, so if indeed somebody, you're reaching up for the sun chips off the grocery store shelf, right, and your shirt rides up and the gun shows, and somebody sees it and calls 911, man with the gun. Of course, police will respond very aggressively, and when they identify you, they'll be very aggressive with you. Okay. The question is, did you violate the law? an aggressive DA in Los Angeles may say that was an assault with a deadly weapon.
Oh,
You understand?
geez.
So it all depends how the police officer logs it, and then there's an investigation by the DA. I am concerned that Todd Spitzer will do a great job for us, but in Los Angeles County, if you're traveling from Orange County to Los Angeles County because your permit is good statewide, that Gascon could be very nasty. And then you have to get lawyers, and it's very expensive.
You're a little less convinced that it'll go your way in L.A.
But there's nothing in the penal code that says having your gun shown without the intent to coerce behavior is a violation of law.
Here's another question that I get a lot, and it drives me kind of crazy. So you have a CCW, you're carrying concealed, you're doing everything right. You go up to a store, grocery store, retail store, whatever, and they have, a picture of a gun with a big X through it, and it says no firearms, penal code 602. If you go in there, is that a violation of law?
No. Any establishment can prohibit any weapons, knives, guns, clubs, whatever. Okay? If you violate that and they ask you to leave and you refuse, now you're
trespassing.
You've committed a crime. Yes, misdemeanor trespass. But it is not a penal code violation. It's not a gun issue, shall we say.
Yeah, it's, basically because they say, hey, we don't want guns here, that doesn't carry the weight of law. They're just allowed to they're allowed to ask you to leave like anybody. It's just, they don't have any special rights over you and your home. If you ask somebody, hey, I really don't want you to be in here with your CCW and your carry gun, that doesn't mean you can get them arrested, and it's no different than at someone's personal home, someone's business. It's not just because it's a business doesn't mean that they carry the special weight of law.
Yes, I carried a folding knife into the. I was looking for the Apollo exhibit at the Nixon Library, and I was carrying a folding knife. The officer said, "Do you have any weapons?" I said, "No." He said, "Well," and he wanted me. So what's that? So it's a knife. So that's a weapon. No, it's a box cutter, friend. Okay. So I didn't argue about it. I took it back to my car, and it's no problem. So that's the issue: is you can't stand your ground and say it's my right, because then you can be they can arrest you for misdemeanor trespass.
Right. Which, great. Everybody, I'm a big proponent of property rights as well. So they have every right to ask you to leave.
Exactly.
And I have every right to never shop there again.
That's also true.
But TJ, if they do find the other part of that question though is how do they know? If they've found out you're carrying, you made a mistake, right?
That's your fault. Yes, you want to make sure that nobody knows that you're armed.
And don't be a jerk and go in there and say I'm carrying, and you can't tell me not. I mean, just.
Yeah, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah,
something I found though that's never been an issue. I think that we only had from Matt Cuvier from Michelle's Law said that there's one situation where a person was using their firearm to coerce. It was a parking issue, and the guy showed that he had a gun, and he no longer has a permit. Let me say that.
And that is absolutely wrong.
Exactly.
You're basically threatening somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody explained it really, really well. You know who it was? It was Artemis. It was Steve Lieberman explained it really, really well. That stuck with me. He said, "Look, all a CCW does is it exempts you from the transportation laws regarding a firearm. It doesn't give you special authority. It doesn't turn you into a police officer. All it does is say, okay, all these gun transportation laws that we have, it has to be unloaded and locked and et cetera. It exempts you from the transportation laws. That's all a CCW does."
Well put. Very well put.
I thought so. That really kind of cleared it up. So now when you're like, well, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Well, no, you're not a cop now. You're just been exempt from transportation laws. That's all, it helped put it into perspective for me.
Exactly right.
Well, TJ, this is awesome. I would love for you to come on more. I really think that there are so many conversations to be had. I would love to hear more about, the history of the Second Amendment and fighting. I should say the history of fighting to preserve the Second Amendment, which you are front and center for. There's something I've always wanted to talk to you about. Back in the early '90s, during the riots, you were front and center for some of that. Let's say. And I would love, there's so many conversations to be had. I'm so honored that you're on the show, TJ. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for the recommendations. And everybody go to allsafedefense.com. Take classes from TJ. Check out his recommendations. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio.
You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.